they're taking that information and using it to run game on women that they're targeting.
This content creator is spot on. Everyone needs to go watch that video. She goes into great detail. I am not going to speak on those three women and the men who are clearly targeting them, but I am going to talk about my ex-husband who targeted me. My ex-husband and I started off as friends in high school, and we lost contact for a long time. And when he found me online again, unbeknownst to me, he was still with his girlfriend and mother of his two children, who he was actively physically abusing on the regular. I knew none of that. I didn't know her. I only knew him, and I only knew him from high school. It had been like a decade. I was in a relationship with a physically abusive man, and I was very isolated from everyone that I loved and everyone who loved me, intentionally by design at the hands of that abusive man. I was 6 months pregnant with my son, and I was desperate for connection. I was desperate to feel safe. I was desperate to escape the hell that I felt trapped in. And he saw that. He knew that. He let me confide in him. He let me tell him how bad my relationship was. He pretended to be the victim of abuse himself at the hands of his ex-girlfriend, who was actually still his girlfriend, who he was abusing. And he used everything I told him to try to be the man I wanted on the surface. And he did a great fucking job. I fell for it hook, line, and sinker. Part of that was because I was vulnerable. Part of that was because I was 26. Part of that was because he was doing it intentionally. And it was not until years later, after he'd become abusive towards me, after he'd revealed himself to be a maggot, after I left him and he was arrested for domestic violence, it was after all that that I finally started to build a relationship with my stepchildren's mother and found out the truth. That they had been together still when we started talking, that he had been terribly abusive to her, not the other way around. She had police records to corroborate that. And on top of all that, because he was still with her when we got together, he was telling her that I was crazy, that I was obsessed with him, that he was just being nice to me, just being my friend, so that I wouldn't go crazier because of my obsession. Our entire relationship was built on lies, was built on his fake persona. He carried that on until we had gotten married and he had adopted my son. And then the charade faded away because he thought he fucking had me. He thought I was trapped and that I would be stuck with him. His permanent maid, his permanent chauffeur, his permanent childcare, his permanent chef, his permanent sex slave. Women, be fucking cautious. If you're bi, be done with the men. If you think maybe you're bi, try it out. Try to be done with the men. Because when I tell you that they are predators, I mean that very literally.